Hi, I'm Bart Herbison, Executive Director of the Nashville Songwriters Association. And this week, the story behind the song, it's a two-part series, and this is part two with Even Stevens. And this is a little different even because it's the story behind the songs.
Mm-hmm.
You and Eddie Rabbitt, who's one of my favorites ever. We're going to dedicate this to Eddie. I miss him so much.
Me too.
Just one of the great ones. Eddie's hard to compare to anybody else, and I think that maybe the biggest. He was so unique. He made the songs his own. You hear it on American Idol, make it your own, and he did.
Yes.
And I didn't even know it was this prolific. How many charted songs with you and Eddie?
Well, probably about 20. I think we had 17 number ones, but I think we had more than 20 songs that were in the top 15, you know.
Does the story of how one of them was written stand out to you, or even more than one?
Well, the song "I Love a Rainy Night."
Yeah.
That was kind of interesting because Eddie had, when we'd get together to write, he'd always bring up this song title, and he had a little piece that was about 10 seconds long on a cassette. And he said, "The rainy nights. I like the rainy nights. I love the rainy nights." Something like that. It really didn't have the melody, but he had this little idea, and he says, I just thought it was one night I wasn't depressed during a rainstorm. I was really happy, and I put this little thing down. We had to write that. So he'd bring it up, and I'd go, I don't know what to do with it, you know. And then David Malloy, when he started writing some songs with us as well, he'd bring it up every year or every time we get together to write. And that happened 3 or 4 times, and we just don't get it. And then one night, it just clicked. And
so I Love a Rainy Night at night.
At night. That's right.
Okay, and as appropriately so.
Yeah, and David came up with the track on that has hand claps and I love a rain, you know, like that. And David was doing that while we recorded. We went, man, we ought to use that, you know. So we recorded the song, and back then we didn't use click tracks, and we recorded that song, and then we tried to add the hand claps and the things, and each one of us took about 45 minutes in the studio trying to get it, and all 3 of us couldn't do it. And we called up Farrell Morris, the old percussion guy that used to be in town, and he did the first take, and that's him on there. But the song's kind of unique in that way too, that it has that track, you know, of hand claps and finger pops.
Did Eddie ever tell you more about that line? Was he driving? I mean, where'd that line come
No,
from? Because you're driving, you're a performer, you're in the rain, and with creative personalities, moments that could be seasonal affective disorder kind of moments, it's the opposite with creative personalities. I can literally see Eddie somewhere driving and just getting into that rain and the beat and the windshield wipers.
He didn't really ever say that, but he just he was persistent about the idea for years and years and years, and we never could get it. Usually he and I could write like that. We could write an idea really quick, you know, and get on it. But I think it was because it was kind of a negative idea, really, because most people don't like rainy nights, you know.
But that's the genius of it.
Well, that's what's good about it, I think. And I'll tell you, when I play out, people love that song, and they know every word of it and sing along, and I'm real proud of that, you know, because I see them all smiling out there when I first kick into it, and it's a great feeling to know that they know the song that well.
One of my favorite songs of all time, you know I'm an Elvis freak.
Right.
Kentucky Rain that Eddie wrote.
Yeah.
It always seemed to me, Eddie, there's people that kind of over-copy Elvis.
Right.
But you could see the influence with Eddie, I think.
Yeah.
And even in that performance, there was the way he hit the vocal and the, you know, the movement. You can tell. I think Eddie was always, especially live performance and even recording, driven by that feel too. You could the body movement comes across in the performance.
Well, if there was an artist Eddie loved, it was Elvis. And Eddie could sing like anybody. He could sing exactly like Elvis. He could sing just like George Jones. He could sing like Lefty Frizzell. I mean, he really could do it. It sounded like them. But he had to find his own voice to do records, you know, and he did. We found that thing that was uniquely him, too, because he couldn't mimic anybody. But he loved Elvis, and that's...
How'd you and Eddie get connected?
Well, I went to a party, and I hadn't had much going on at that point, but I got invited to a party at over by the Tin Angel. It used to be Bishop's Pub.
Right.
And I used to play there free and pass the hat to get gas money and everything. And he had an apartment there. And I got invited to a party over in that same complex, and he was there, and we met. And I was driving a Scout Jeep at the time, and I lived in that thing for a year, and I slept in the back. And he said, "I see you got a Jeep. I'm moving tomorrow. Would you help me move?" And I went, "Yeah, sure, I'll help you move." So I get over there the next day, and he says, "I got a monkey." I went, "What?" He says, "I've got an organ grinder monkey named JoJo." I went, "Well, oh, that's strange." He goes, "Yeah, I've got a cage up there, and it's a big cage. It's about 6 foot tall and about 5 foot square, and I was thinking maybe we could put it in the back of your truck." So I get up there, and this cage is kind of funky. So funky. And he goes, "We can stick it in the back of your truck." I go, "Well, hold it, dude." I said, "I don't know you that well. I sleep back there, and I ain't putting that in my Jeep." And he says, "Well, how about on top?" So we put it on top, and I helped him move, and we became friends. And we actually didn't write any songs for about maybe 6 months.
That's a hell of a story.
It is, isn't it? And that monkey tormented me for years. When we were writing, I was the only one that he could let the monkey out of the cage around, because I was there all the time at his house when we'd write. And so the monkey became a fixture around us, and that thing would sometimes just grab a hold of my hair and pull chunks of it out, and I'd say, "This monkey is a pain in the ass, Eddie." And he'd go, "I know, but I love the monkey. I can't get rid of the monkey." So when he was going to get married, which I was the best man at, he says, I'm having a $5,000 cage built for the monkey for the new house. And I went, "That monkey ain't ever making that new house, I'll tell you that." He goes, "Oh, yeah." The monkey never made that.
That's what I thought. So
he found it a good home.
Well, this is about stories, and that's a great one. So this week, the story behind the song, the many songs they did together. And thank you. It's part of America's culture. It really is. They still get recorded. McGraw recently, a few years ago, did Suspicions.
Yes.
You hear them all the time. But this week, for the Tennessean, Even Stevens, and I Love a Rainy Night.
You can sing along if you want. You can hand clap.
I'll do you a favor.
Oh, I love a rainy night, and I love a rainy night, and I love to hear the thunder, watch the lightning when it lights up the sky. You know it makes me feel good. Yeah. Oh, I love a rainy night, it's such a beautiful sight. I love to feel the rain on my face, taste the rain on my lips, in the moonlight shadow. Showers wash all my cares away. I wake up to a sunny day, 'cause I love a rainy night. I love a rainy night. Yeah, I love a rainy night. You can see it in my eyes. I love a rainy night.